Oh.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Drinks and a Movie. Chris Hamper here with you. Today we'll be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp. But first, let's of course start with the drink. Now the drink I'm going to be doing today is called the Fire Ant Shot. And the Fire Ant Shot is pretty simple. It is mostly, I'd say about 3/4 Fire Jim Beam, Fire Whiskey, Fireball, whatever you have that's like a, a fiery cinnamon-based bourbon whiskey. And then layered on top is a little bit of Grenadine to get that redness, and then layered on top of that is a bit of 151. So, well, I haven't lit anything on fire recently, so I figured I'd light something on fire. And that is the Fire Ant Shot. So we'll do the Fire Ant Shot and talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp is once again directed by Peyton Reed and stars Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, Ant-Man, and this time, Ant-Man, Scott Lang, is kind of struggling with being a good dad and being a superhero and also, well, being under house arrest because of everything he did in Captain America Civil War. And it kind of starts off after that. Alright, let's layer this Grenadine here. So, get the spoon ready. Layer this up. Get the redness here, and then right on top of that we'll get some Bacardi 151 so we can do a little fireworks here. Alright, I'm going to slide this over a little bit. Kids, if you try this at home, don't have a fire extinguisher nearby. Alright, here we go. Here is to Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Fire Ant cocktail. There we go. See it all fire up there? Alright, let's try this. Cheers, everybody. Alright, so what did I think of Ant-Man and the Wasp? Well, it's funny, walking out of this movie, I saw it with a friend, and we were kind of talking about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which I didn't particularly like. I know I hadn't done a video on it yet, but it's not very good. And what we said about Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom is that that is a movie that has a terrible script, but it was in the hands of a really, really great director. It's the guy that directed The Impossible and The Orphanage. Bayona, I think is his last name. Anyway, doesn't matter. But the way we compared it to Ant-Man and the Wasp is Ant-Man and the Wasp has some great characters, some interesting ideas, and I think had a decent storyline, but it was in the hands of just a terrible director and even worse editor. I don't know where they found this editor, but he's really bad. And I'll get to that. But what frustrates me about Ant-Man and the Wasp is that it is right on the edge of being kind of a great movie because it has fun set pieces or ideas of set pieces, and it has great characters. These characters that you really got to know in the original Ant-Man movie and really enjoyed. As you got Paul Rudd back, who is just overflowing with this kind of boyish charisma, even though he's kind of older than me. I think he's like in his mid to late 40s, but he looks like he's still in his mid 20s. Son of a bitch. But you got Paul Rudd in there, and you have Evangeline Lilly, who's gotten a lot better. I mean, I thought she was fine in Ant-Man, but she has more to do in this, obviously, because she's in the title now. But and it also has, you got Michael Douglas, who's always solid, and you have the wonderful scene-stealing, movie-stealing Michael Pena, who needs to be in all of these Marvel movies, as far as I'm concerned, because he is just a joy, and really the best part of pretty much both of these movies. All those things together, and the little moments of real good humor, just carry a just poorly directed and poorly edited movie more so than they really had to. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is kind of a plus, a positive and a negative. They have just an incredible. Not only you have like the main sort of core cast with the Paul Rudd and Douglas and Lily and Michael Pena and his weird friend from T.I. and his weird friend from The Dark Knight. He's a weird guy. In that, he played a weird character. I'm not saying he's a weird guy. I don't really know him. But not only do you have these core characters, which are great together, I mean, really have good chemistry, you have an insane, this director has an insane ensemble cast outside of that. I mean, I'd wish they'd try to keep it a secret, but they kind of, you can read it all on IMDb, and it's told to you really early in the movie, so I don't think it's a spoiler that Michelle Pfeiffer plays Hope's mom, and the person in the original Wasp that got lost in the quantum realm. Well, you have her, you have Lawrence Fishburne as Goliath, which is a pretty cool comic book character. I kind of geeked out a little bit there. You have Walton Goggins as sort of a villain, and you have all these great tertiary actors and these interesting characters. And you have Judy Greer, not Pam Grier. She's not in this. You have Judy Greer and Bobby Cannavale back as the Scott's daughter's mother and her boyfriend, and that were in the original, and they're great. But the negative is they just don't use them to their potential. They don't have this story just doesn't give them their moments. And use those great actors as they should. I mean, if you have those actors, you should really use them and give them their moment to shine. And I just don't think they did. But man, they still gave it their all. They're still so great to watch. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne, you can't go wrong. But this kind of, unfortunately, is the end of my positives. More and more I think about this, and I saw it last night. It's a very middle of the road movie. The problems come with unfortunately the director and definitely the editor. I think Peyton Reed, who's directed some movies I liked, huge guilty pleasure is Bring It On, and Down with Love with Ewan McGregor, really good movie. If you guys haven't seen that, go check out Down with Love. It's got Ewan McGregor, Renee Zellweger, David Hyde Pierce, and Sarah Paulson, who's really young in it, and it's really good. Anyway, I digress. He's directed some movies that I've liked, but I think he kind of took the magic that, and I hate to bring it up, but took the magic that Edgar Wright made with the original Ant-Man, and there's moments in the original Ant-Man that I think Edgar Wright had more to do with than Peyton Reed did. And you can really see the difference between that one and this one. This one didn't have those really imaginative, shots of the scale. I mean, they did scale really good in the first one. This one, they had a lot of great ideas once again, but just don't capitalize on them at all. And I can only imagine that it's not just Peyton Reed can't handle this stuff, and he didn't have enough faith in what was going on, like the effects, which are actually pretty good, but he didn't have enough faith in them to hold on them and not chop the shit out of this, and which brings me to my second negative, and the biggest problem with this movie is the editing. This editor needs to be just fired and not work anymore. This guy does not know what he's doing. A lot of these scenes, which again have great ideas, just are incomprehensible a lot of the time, and what astounded me even more about it is that there are moments in the trailer that are edited better excuse me, than moments in this movie, which are crazy to me. These teams that, you know, edit these trailers are getting better and better. I mean, there's been multiple times where, you know, there's trailers that are better than the movie, like Suicide Squad, and they're getting better and better. And this was just astounding. There's moments in this movie that don't have as good of editing as they did in the trailers. They don't hold shots. They don't let you see what's going on. They don't just have faith in the effects department and in the stunts department and the, you know, set piece department to just let things play out. And that, to me, was the most frustrating part of this you know, movie. Is it's all blue. I wanted to see these really cool ideas happen, and you just don't. And I don't understand it, and it really took away from the movie. Alright, so last thing I want to talk about, last negative, another negative, is the villain. The villain is this ghost character, which you kind of see in the trailer a little bit, who's phasing around and doing some really cool things. And that the idea of that character, again, the idea is really cool, and they could have done some really cool things with it. Cheers. Yeah. But they do a little bit, but she just doesn't have she kind of disappears for like almost half the movie, into the third act, until she comes back, and then doesn't really do much. And then you have this like secondary villain in Walton Goggins that is just sort of bland and benign and just not interesting. And he at least had a lot more to do and could give like, you know, his Walton Goggins flavor to the character. Not, you know, they didn't let him do that in Tomb Raider, but they let him do that in this a little bit, which is good. Again, the actors really gave these sort of bland parts a lot of service. And if it weren't for them, it would be really bad. And I'm all in all, you know, I'll get to my, you know, closing here. I love these Marvel movies, and this movie is cute. It's funny. It is fun at times, but it is also kind of a mess in the editing and the directing, and just there just isn't a cohesive enough story to go, I mean, yeah, this is a really good to great movie. It is very middle of the road. And I don't know if I could say go pay your money for it. I wish I could, because these characters and these actors really try hard, and it is funny, and it has little moments of greatness, and you see those things, which makes it so frustrating. But gosh. The best part about it is they do have a link to Infinity War that is a really cool moment, but that's about it. I don't know. This movie's really frustrating to me because from the trailer you see better things. From the ideas, there are better things that could happen. Even during the movie, there's ideas that go, oh, that's really cool. I just wish it wasn't cut to shit by the editor. So that's it. That's what I think. Thank you so much, everybody for joining me. If you like this, please like, share, subscribe down here at the bottom. Again, thank you again, and have a drink on me. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.